Today, we're diving into a really interesting argument, summed up by this headline: Why Silver and Rare Coins Are the Smart Investment in Today's Market. So let's break down the case it's making. The source material really kicks things off with a huge question, one that I think is on every investor's mind right now. In a world that feels so uncertain and volatile, where do you actually find true, lasting value? And this image gets right to the heart of it. On one hand, you have the paper money we use every day. On the other, a tangible, historical asset. The suggestion here is pretty clear. One has proven its worth over thousands of years, while the other might be a bit more fragile than we'd like to admit. All right, so that brings us to the first part of their argument, looking back through history to make the case for silver as a modern-day safe haven, not just as a piece of metal, but as a form of real financial security. And the first thing this source points to is just the sheer history here. We're talking over 5,000 years that silver has been used as money and as a way to store wealth. I mean, very few things on this planet have a track record that long. And it's not just ancient history, right? The material points to specific moments that you and I remember. Think about the crazy inflation of the 1970s, the financial meltdown in 2008, and all the volatility we saw during the pandemic. The pattern, according to the source, is clear. When people start losing faith in paper money, they tend to flock to tangible assets, like silver, which causes its value to climb.
And here's the kicker, the really crucial point they make: independence. Physical precious metals exist completely outside the traditional banking system. This offers a way to hold onto your wealth that isn't directly tied to the policies of governments or central banks.
So, that's the long view, the historical argument. But what about right now? Why is this a conversation today? Let's get into the specific market signals the source is highlighting as a major opportunity. The main piece of evidence the source lays out is something called the gold-to-silver ratio. It's actually pretty simple. It's just the number of ounces of silver it takes to buy 1 ounce of gold. And they use this as a key indicator that silver might be seriously undervalued. Right now, that ratio is sitting at roughly 80 to 1. Think about that. It takes about 80 ounces of silver to equal the value of a single ounce of gold. Just lock that number in your head for a second. Because when you look at the historical average for that exact same ratio, it's much closer to 40 to 1. The source argues that this massive gap is a huge signal that silver is way undervalued compared to gold, and that, in their words, it's due to move.
But it's not just about the numbers on a chart. We've got to talk about real-world economics. Silver isn't just something to invest in. It's absolutely critical for high-tech stuff like solar panels, EVs, and 5G tech. And the demand from these industries is described as, well, exploding.
This visual really boils it down, doesn't it? While that demand is skyrocketing, the source claims that the amount of silver being pulled out of the ground is actually falling. I mean, that's economics 101, right? When demand goes up and supply goes down, that creates some serious natural pressure for the price to go up. Okay, so let's say you're buying into this argument. What do you actually do? Well, the material lays out 2 very different ways to build a portfolio with physical silver. And here you see the 2 paths. On one side, you have silver bullion, the classic bars and rounds. Their value is all about the raw metal. And on the other side, you've got these rare coins, which are a whole different ballgame. And this is the absolute key difference you have to understand. Bullion is simple. Its value is tied directly to the day-to-day price of silver. But rare coins, they have that same base metal value plus a whole other layer of value, a premium that comes from collectors wanting that specific rare coin. The source has a great name for this: dual growth. It's this idea that your investment can grow in 2 ways at the same time. If the price of silver goes up, great. The coin's base value goes up with it. But even if silver's price stays flat, the coin's collectible premium can still rise on its own. It's like having 2 engines pushing your investment forward. So, how do you turn this idea into an actual strategy? This is where the argument really shifts from what to buy to how you build a collection based on the principle of scarcity. So, what drives that collector premium we were just talking about? It all comes down to one word: scarcity. We're talking about coins with super limited production runs. Sometimes only a few thousand were ever made. That built-in rarity is what can cause their value to just take off, pushing it far beyond the simple spot price of the silver inside. The source uses a really powerful metaphor here. It says, just like compounding interest, accumulating rare coins regularly builds a stronger, faster-growing portfolio. It's not about a one-time buy. It's about the process of building over time. So you see, the big idea here isn't to just go out and buy one thing. It's about strategically building a collection, piece by piece. Each new coin adds to the whole, compounding the growth potential from both the metal itself and the rising collector premiums as market cycles turn.
And this all leads to the final conclusion, which really brings together everything we're seeing in the economy. The source starts by painting a picture of a world of inflation, de-dollarization, and volatility.
And then they deliver the final verdict. Owning physical, appreciating assets is no longer optional. It's essential. That's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? The argument is that these assets have shifted from a nice-to-have diversification tool to an absolute must-have for preserving your wealth.
And that's really the question this all leaves us with. As we look at the economic future, does this centuries-old case for holding something real, something you can touch, actually carry more weight today than ever before?